One thing I discovered in my research about what distinguishes easily promoted rock stars from everyone else is that the easily promoted rock stars figure out how their talent process and promotion process works in their company, and they reverse engineer their career efforts working backwards from that. In this video, I'll give you 3 examples of ways that strategy can be operationalized using examples from talent management meetings I've sat in on. For the best strategies to take your career to the next level, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you can be notified when I post new content weekly, and to help me tell the algorithm to put the content in front of ambitious corporate women who want to take their career forward with ease and grace. I'm Christina dellisanti-Miller of Full Potential Realized, and I'm a career transition coach. I've helped hundreds of women to take their career beyond what they thought was possible, and I use my insights from working more than 20 years in big corporates and their talent functions and diversity functions, and helping to coach executives and high potential leaders. So as a context, a talent management meeting is when executives come together to talk about the leaders in their organization, figure out who they want to invest in, who they want to develop, and who they think can go further in their career. And I've facilitated my fair share of those and sat in on others as note taker or generalist or whatever different roles. So I'm going to share some of my favorite facepalm moments where I was astonished or concerned or just mesmerized by what was happening, and let's extract from that what you might do if you knew that that was happening to be proactive about advancing your career. First strategy is to make sure that your manager and your sponsors and mentors know exactly where you are with your personal needs and what you want to have happen in your career and what you're willing to do. So the reason I say that, I sat in a talent management meeting once where they were talking about a certain executive, and they were thinking about who might be a good fit for a certain role that was coming up that was a really great role and it required travel. And they brought up this woman's name and they said, "What about her?" And one of the senior executives said, "Well, she doesn't travel. She had a child, and so she's not comfortable traveling." And I said, "Excuse me, how old is the child now?" And they said 3. And I said, "When was the last time you had the conversation with her?" "When the child was born." Okay, so maybe something has changed during that time, not sure, but good to make sure that assumptions aren't being made about your willingness at any given moment, either based on somebody's perception of what you are willing to do or based on a previous conversation that has expired in terms of its validity. Second strategy is to make sure that you work with your manager to create your own development plan based on whatever feedback comes out of the talent meeting. And your manager is not going to tell you the specific feedback or what conversations were had, but they can help you to point to what are the needs that are perceived for your ongoing development. And the reason I say that, because I've sat in multiple meetings where we talked about the person or people, and we talked about their needs and their strengths, but when it came to the development needs, the executives are not great at coming up with that, and they're ready to just move on to the next. So if you're in the majority of situations, your executives are not thoughtful or effective at coming up with development plans. I have worked with leadership teams that were great at it, and they had processes and structures in place to make sure that they got to know their talent and provided opportunities for them to both develop and have visibility. But I would say that was not the majority of cases. So I would say think about your visibility, think about your development, and work with your manager to establish a plan, again, that incorporates whatever he or she knows from talent management meetings. Third facepalm moment was not in a talent meeting, but just in a diversity strategy meeting where I was sitting with executives. We had a consultant coming in talking about how we could have more women break through to senior levels and adjust our processes to be more inclusive. And one of the senior leaders said something like, "Well, we're going to have to lower the standards for the women to pass through." Excuse me. So I was really struck by that. And that's actually the second time I've heard that. I heard that once in graduate school where one of my colleagues in a group dynamics session said something like, "Yeah, you guys women don't start at the line with us. We see you as starting behind the line, and you have to prove yourself even to come up to the starting line with us." So similar sentiment. So what does that mean, and to be proactive around that? Understand that some people may have that perception, and if you look at the Shaunti Feldhahn book, The Male Factor, one of the things that she talks about through her interviews with men about what things men know about work that women don't know they know, She said that the men she interviewed who felt like they were being egalitarian, being fair across the board, were giving the same standards to all men and women. What she didn't say, and what came up for me though, is that they don't probably realize that those are male-based standards. Those are standards based on male norms and not female norms, so they're judging everyone accordingly, thinking that they're being fair. So what can we do about this if it's in play? I think the thing to do is to understand, and again, having conversations with your manager about what are the important standards or thresholds that this manager has for performance and potential, and reverse engineer your performance as best you can to align with that. And I think it's also important to point out the things that you are contributing to the organization, to your department, to achieving goals that may not be on their radar screen or that may not be in their immediate field of vision because they're thinking about it through their male lens. But these contributions are as valuable and important, but need to be articulated and codified. So I'm curious, what are some ways that you've taken the bull by the horns and found out how your talent process works and acted proactively to make sure that you're accelerating your advancement, make sure that you don't get stuck in any of these unfortunate situations or quagmires? Please let me know in the comments. Understanding how your firm's talent management process works and acting with intention to take the steps that will optimize your career trajectory is one way to take your career to the next level. Another way is to have a system in place where you work in parallel with your basic work objectives, where you have a career strategy, process, and routine to optimize your experience and to get the best rewards for the effort that you put in. If you'd like to access my free training on that process, go to fullpotentialrealized.com/advance. Check out these next videos. I'll leave you a playlist on taking your career forward, and leave me a comment, share this video, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks. I look forward to seeing you next time.